Oui, je voulais juste commencer par offrir nos sincères condoléances à la famille Snyder et nos pensées sont avec leur famille. On behalf of the Montreal Canadiens, we'd like to offer our sympathies to the Snyder family and our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Pour moi, au nom de l'Organisation du Canadien de Montréal, on aimerait Jacques Demers, un prompt établissement avec ce qui est arrivé récemment. On behalf of the Montreal Canadiens, I would like to wish the best to Jacques Demers for what he's going through right now, and we're pulling behind him. On est avec toi, Jacques.
Les questions vont commencer avec Martin Maguire, Renaud Lavoie et Luc Gélina.
Monsieur Molson, c'est probablement la première fois depuis bon nombre d'années que vous êtes présent au post-mortem après une saison. Pourquoi être ici aujourd'hui?
Pour moi, comme propriétaire, nous avons tous connu une saison difficile. Et nous trois, ici, nous sommes autant déçus que nos partisans. Et c'est une saison où on a beaucoup appris, mais c'était une déception qu'on a vécue ensemble. Et moi, je pensais que c'était important pour moi d'être présent avec eux aujourd'hui pour donner leur support.
Marc, justement, M. Molson a parlé de ce qu'il a appris. Est-ce que tu peux nous dire, toi, ce que tu as appris sur cette saison, sur ton équipe, finalement, cette saison?
Écoute, tu regardes en arrière aujourd'hui ce qui s'est déroulé durant la saison, les 82 rencontres. J'ai appris beaucoup. J'ai appris, écoute, premièrement, dans notre business, il n'y a aucune garantie. Puis même avec le début de saison qu'on a eu, il y a une personne, je pense, qui est ici dans la salle, que je me suis testé avec lui au mois de novembre, puis il a fait un commentaire en voulant dire, Marc, tu sais, avec les séries, vous allez être bien. Puis je me souviens, moi, j'ai dit, écoute, on n'est pas encore dans les séries, même avec le départ qu'on a. Puis je pense que ça l'a montré qu'il faut être humble. C'est une ligue qui est très, très difficile. C'est une ligue qui est très demandante. Puis aujourd'hui, j'ai appris. Puis moi, je le savais déjà, mais c'est encore plus clair que prends rien pour acquis.
Avec votre présence, vous trois ici, Geoff démontre clairement que la stabilité, c'est important au sein du management, qu'on n'a pas vu toujours les dernières années à Montréal. Mais Marc, pour les joueurs, pour la suite des choses, est-ce qu'on doit s'attendre à plusieurs changements à la suite de cette saison-ci?
Écoute, moi, comme DG, je suis responsable de toutes les décisions hockey. Alors, basé sur ce que j'ai vécu durant les 6 derniers mois, il y a beaucoup de choses qui est arrivées. Mais de là à aller paniquer, puis à tout changer, basé des circonstances qui est arrivées, je ne suis pas prêt aujourd'hui à faire ça. C'est certain que je vais regarder à toutes les facettes de l'organisation pour améliorer, pour aller de l'avant. Mais te dire aujourd'hui, Luc, que je suis prêt à tout virer à l'envers, non.
Mark, a two-part question. One, looking back, is there anything in retrospect you wish you had done vis-a-vis a goaltender or a scorer? And then looking forward, where do you go from here?
Okay, Pat, it's a fair question for you to ask because you always look inside his 2020, right? So we go back to with Carey's injuries. When he got hurt in November, based on the information I was getting from our doctor, and by the way, our doctor did nothing wrong, it's just that originally it was minimum of 6 weeks. And in my head, somewhere in January, Carey was coming back, even though at the time that he got hurt, Mike, I believe, was 9-2 in that range. So Mike was playing very well. And even though after Carey got hurt, the team kept playing well. I mean, we did a lot of nights in December with we deserve a better fate, which we did not. And based on the information I had and what was happening with Mike, there's nothing that was telling me, you know what, Mark, you need to go get a goalie. And when it started slipping away a bit, I made some calls like I always do. And at the time, what was available, talking to my hockey man, talking to Stefan Waite for what I believe is one of the top goaltending coach in the NHL, what was available was not an upgrade on what we had. So, and on top of that, if it would have been available, I sure wouldn't have not mortgaged the future knowing that Carey was coming back. So, once you lose your top goalie at a top position, it's very hard to overcome. And obviously, we were not able to do that. Sorry, go ahead.
Going forward?
Yeah, going.
I just want to know, what do you have planned going forward?
As far as the goaltending situation, you mean?
As far
Oh,
as
the team. Well, obviously, I will address. There's a lot of needs. I mean, every team in the league needs. You mentioned scoring. There's not one general manager in the NHL is going to tell you, I have too much scoring. Scoring is at a premium in this league. Obviously, guys that are able to score at a high level are very, very seldom available, if almost never. So you either have to draft one, which, as we see in Galchenyuk, takes a while before they reach that level, even though he was a third pick overall. We're looking at 4 years down the road. And there's always the free agency route, which, again, guys that reach free agency, we're always going to look at it. But the money, most of the time, it's not the issue. Is the terms that you have to be careful, and also the players has probably 29 team you could choose from where to go. So that's when you try to add scoring at different level, either your third line, your fourth line, to compensate for. And if for me to go out and get a top six, I have to gain something that's very significant. And does that make the team go forward? If you move a top six to get another top six, you don't really move forward.
But with all the defensemen you had this year, and you had a chance to look at some of them,
Yeah.
is there a possibility there that you could
There was no looking back. Yeah, looking.
sacrifice a defenseman?
Well, to sacrifice. First of all, the top six, as you mentioned, they're not available. Very little, and we don't have a top six that I could give, or top four to get that. Then I'm creating another hole. So it's the best way is to draft well, develop well, and like I said, you bring some help on your third and fourth line to add the scoring that you need to compensate for the top two lines. That's the way to approach it.
So
Please
finding
take
that
the
top
mic,
six
please.
may take a
People
few years
listening.
then.
Pardon me?
Finding that top six guy may take a few years.
Well, finding him, we always look at what the possibility are, but again, these guys are not available.
I'm just talking about the draft.
The draft. Like this year, we should have, as we drafting today, 9th overall, unless the lottery change. I mean, we should get a good player. But talking to Trevor, will that player help us next year? Probably not. Like you see with Alex, took him a while before he became a front-time player.
A bit of the same thing, Mark. You guaranteed Michel's job back in January, and if you could just express what the future holds for Michel and his staff.
Well, I believe, first of all, listen, I just want to make this clear. We all learn, we all suffer, and we all have some responsibility to hold for what happened this year, okay? So nobody's walking away with a clean slate, but we have to break it down in pieces what happened during the season. And it's my job, and it's my decision that I make, and Geoff, that's the reason he's here today, support me, and Michel also. I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Regarding the coaching staff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Michel, like I said, he learned. He learned a lot. We all learn. Players learn, and I'm convinced they have. And if they didn't, then we're gonna have a problem. But I like to believe. I met with them this morning, and I believe they learn a lot for what happened transpired this year. And we're not happy. We're not happy, and it's my job to address this team moving forward, and I will do that. But Michel will be behind the bench opening night.
Mark, you and Geoff and the organization made us an 8-year, $72 million commitment to PK Subban. There's been a rampant speculation about what his future is with the organization. Are you willing to guarantee that he'll be back here next season?
Well, my intention is not, if you're going that way, to trade PK Subban. PK Subban is a big part of this team. I mean, we have a lot of good players on this team. Obviously, missing Carey was obvious. But PK Subban is an elite defenseman in this league.
Geoff, what about the the commitment that PK made to the city earlier this year in his financial contribution to the Children's Hospital, and the outcry, I'm sure, as you said in your message, that you've heard from Twitter about the idea that he could not be back here next season. Yeah, obviously, Marc explained very clearly where we stand with PK, and as it relates to your comment about off the ice, everything that he's done to have an impact in the community has been wonderful, and we haven't seen a player make such a big commitment in the history of our team, and we're fully behind him on that.
Tony, ça va être après ça va être Richard Labbé, j'ai Bertrand Raymond, Philippe Quentin, ainsi que.
Yeah, gentlemen, Marc, at the year-end presser last year, you talked about the power play, and you said, Michel and I are going to sit down, and it's going to get better.
Yep.
So, Michel, I want to ask you, last year the team ranked 25th in power play. This year the team ranked 25th in power play. What didn't work on the power play? You gave the responsibilities to J.J. Daigneault. Nothing has changed. And the one thing I look at is I take a look at ice time, and David Desharnais averaged 2.3 minutes on the power play up until his injury, and Alex Galchenyuk averaged the same. But Alex Galchenyuk outproduced him 2.5 to 1. And I'm wondering, why would you give the same amount of ice time to two players when one has outproduced him 2.5 times to 1?
First of all, there's 2 minutes on the power play when you don't score, so usually it's 1 minute for each guys. This is something last year we were not pleased with the power play, with the result, and we give different responsibility to coaches, and we give the responsibility to Jean-Jacques Daigneault to work with the power play, and we had a consultant in Craig Ramsey with all his experience. Obviously, results are not quite what we're looking for. We're still going to work at it. We need to be better, but this is something in the last few years that certainly we're not pleased with the result that we got with the power play.
One more from Michel and one from Marc. I'll just get them out of the way if you don't mind. Michel, you've told us all along it's a process with young players. I think we can understand that. Galchenyuk just played his 4th year this year. Carr went down with an injury. Desharnais missed 17 games with an injury. Gallagher missed 29 games with an injury. There was a nice opportunity there for Galchenyuk, but he averaged less ice time this year than last year. Is there any kind of logical explanation to that?
Well, the one thing that I know with Alex, I love his progression, and the thing that's important for myself, it's the confidence of a player. Alex, a totally different player from the beginning of the year to where he is right now. When you see a player when we start the year, that was a different role to Chucky, and we could tell at the time that he was trying to do too much because he wants to do good in a new responsibility. Didn't take always the right decision with the puck, try to beat guys one-on-one, and that's part of our teaching for us. And but one thing, we took a step back with him, but when we felt and we saw his game change, more maturity on the ice, we believed that he was ready, first of all, to play on top line, because don't forget, when you play on top line, that means not only to play with Pacioretty or Gallagher, but that means you're going to play against top players on other teams.
Tougher matchup.
So at the beginning, I'll say, I try to protect Alex. I didn't want to put him on a new position and have to play against Weber. I have to play always against top players. I try to protect him as most as I can. And but when we put him at the end of the year, the last month and a half, we believe as a player he was ready for that challenge, and we're extremely pleased with this progression, not only this year, but you're looking back the last 4 years.
Thank you. Just one from Marc, Donald, please. Marc, earlier, Stu Cowan asked PK Subban, and I'm going to read this, I quote, "The indications are that Michel Therrien is going to be back next season. Just your thoughts on that and how he's helped you as a coach and your relationship with him." PK answered, "Been in the league for a while. It's results-based. As a coach and a coaching staff, it's your job to make sure the team is prepared to win every night. And as players, it's your job to compete and play hard to help the team win And ultimately, when there's ups and downs throughout the season, there's always speculation as to what's going to happen. I'm happy I'm just a hockey player. My job is to go home, train, have a good off season, be back in shape, come back prepared to have an even better season next year. Ultimately, I haven't heard Marc's end of the year presser yet, but we'll see what happens with everything. It seemed like there was an opportunity there for your highest paid player and one of your star players to give a ringing endorsement to Michel that he passed up on. Does it worry you that you didn't get this ringing endorsement from a star player on your team?
Not at all. I mean, I don't know. That answer could be taken different ways. I just don't take it that way. I mean, I know as a former player, your coach, whoever coach that is, has a job to do as a coach. And the job of the head coach is not to be loved by 23 players. It's to be respected. And sometimes it's called tough love. And across the board, every team I've been on, it was the same thing. So I'm not saying PK does like or doesn't like Mike. I know one thing is since Mike's been here, PK has won one Norris, has been nominated for another one, leads our team in ice time, and I know there's aspect this game has gone a lot better. So overall, under Michel Therrien, PK has progressed to a really young, fine defenseman.
Marc, just firstly a question on factual things. The coaching staff in the American Hockey League, Sylvain Lefebvre, 4 years running without a playoff spot, are they as secure?
Yes, they are, and I'm going to go a little further on that. At the end of the day, in the perfect world, St. John's makes the playoff and we win the Calder Cup. Now, the way I look at it is when players come to Montreal, are they helping us? And this year, towards the end, many injuries. There's players who have come up and have done a really good job for us, and Mike mentioned a few. So what comes first and foremost, you like to progress in a winning environment, no doubt about that. I could load up the team in St. John with veterans that Sly will play, and they'll probably make the playoffs. But then I'm going to have our draft pick sitting at the end of the bench, not playing with a minute left. That's not going to help. There's time where, as a coaching staff, Sylvain Lefebvre needs to send a message. Just like any other places. If the player doesn't perform, you tell him. Then you tell him again. At some point, it's like your kid, the example earlier. If he doesn't listen, put your dishes away, eventually go to your room. So at some time, Sylvain will have to maybe move a guy to the fourth line. And to my request, sometime I said, Sylvain, maybe it's time to watch a game in the stands. You take a step back to take two forward. That's part of developing and coaching. And Sylvain's on board. And he knows he might lose games, but at the end of the day, he does what's best for the Montreal Canadiens. And you're talking about using 40-something players. I think they use 50 players. Up to where we really got banged up here, they were fighting for a playoff spot, and then we took their teams away. I don't feel comfortable saying, Sylvain, you're out the door.
Okay, how about the assistant coaches here in Montreal? Status quo there or changes?
Well, I believe, with Nelty Carey Price, we're not sitting here today. Okay, I believe that, and we don't have this conversation. Yes, we need to get better at some aspect of our game, no doubt about it, and we will address it. But at the end of the day, I think, you look at last year, this team pretty much finished second overall. Are we the second best team in the NHL last year? By our points, we did. Yes, Carey was the MVP, yes, but I think the other players need credit. Michel and his staff needs credit. So to start throwing people out the door based on what happened this year, I'm not ready to do that.
Can I get you just to talk about PK for a second in terms
Sure.
of trading? You said that it was not my intention,
Correct.
which can sometimes be somewhat clever language. I just want
Yeah.
to see if we can get you to unequivocally, the same way that you unequivocally are in the foxhole with Michel Therrien as your coach, speak just as unequivocally that you are in the same foxhole with PK Subban and he won't be traded before July 1.
Well, again, I mentioned earlier, Wayne Gretzky was traded, okay? Am I trying to move PK Subban? No. Am I trying to move Carey Price? No. Am I trying to move Max Pacioretty? No. Is my job to make this team better? Yes. To move any of these guys and you're going to PK, it would have to be something very special. And as a hockey man, I'm going to have to look at all my options. But is that reality? Probably not. But if I don't look at all my options, like any other players, I'm not doing my job as a general manager. But
Okay, this is my final one, sorry. Is just that you had a MVP season last year from Carey, 940, spectacular.
Yep.
Just the best. But the fall off was to like 350 hockey without him.
yeah,
It was a drastic fall off.
yes.
Are you able overall, coach, GM, owner, all of you, to say that you can play better than 350 hockey just in case Carey Price is not in the lineup? It even get to 500 hockey. Could have made the playoffs at
Listen,
500.
and that's my
Thank you
point.
for your time today, by the way.
You're welcome. And that's one point that I brought to our players. I said, if you would, sometime in December, if we would have played 500, we would be in the playoff today. We failed to play 500 hockey, okay? And I don't have those rosy glasses. I know that. Did at some point the players fail? Mike fell and I fell. It's a big world. I think we could have done better. But I know that even when we were losing, the team was playing very well. And I'll leave it up to you guys because there are stats everywhere. I mean, we scored more goals this year than we did last year. Where we got hurt is our goal against. So what does that tell me? If you don't check, you don't have success. It doesn't mean you have to play defensively. It means you have to be responsible defensively. There's a big difference. And to play run and gun, very team have success that way. And we have, until proven different, the best goaltender in the NHL. And he wasn't there this year. But can we have done better? Should we have? Yes. Are we happy here today? No. And it's my job to do the best I can to address and fix it. It's on me, and as a general manager, I take those responsibility. You know, and I respect our fans. Honestly, I believe we have the best. You see at the end of the year the way they were, and they all have their opinion and their passion. But I will not do what's popular or what they want. I'll do what's best because I have all the information. They don't. But I respect their opinion and I understand. But at the end of the day, I will not be swayed. I'll do what's best, what Marc Bergevin thinks is best for the Montreal Canadiens.
This morning about how he felt at times he struggled in the captaincy role, both on and off the ice. What advice would you give to him going into next season, and how have you seen him develop in his role in this first year?
Well, what he said, I saw, and we had a nice chat, not only today, in the past. And I know Max is a smart man, and I believe he cares. I know he cares, and I know he's going to grow from this. And he'll become a better captain. I mean, there's not a booklet that comes with the captaincy. His teammates choose him for a reason. And what we experienced this year as a team, he was also new for us. Well, he was also new for a new captain. So, yeah, he had some period where like he mentioned to you, he thought it was very hard. But I believe in my heart that Max will come with this a better captain and a better leader.
This is to Michel and Marc a little bit, but I think you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but in the offseason you seem to have placed more of an emphasis on puck possession. We heard the players mention the word possession. You started mentioning the word possession. And then you did that through the first 3 months of the season. You improved as a possession team, and even after Carey got hurt. Do you think in any way your improvement in those areas that you set out to improve in prevented you from making the sort of adjustments you might have maybe needed to make to help, I guess, isolate Condon or to make adjustments to the fact that Carey Price wasn't playing behind you anymore? Is there anything, do you think that the fact that you seemingly were playing so well because all the things that you evaluate that on prevented you from actually making changes sooner that might have been able to save your season?
But there was one thing that even if we thought that we got a good season last year, but we want to work on different things over the summer when we met all the coaches and we try to pay attention about our puck position. And obviously we got the great start that probably more than we expected. But even when we end up losing Carey, the result, honestly, the result was not there. But in December, in January, even there's time in January, we were better than when we start the year. So, but result was not there. We always judge on result, and we all understand that. After that, the injuries start, and it was just a chaos after, but then end up losing confidence. But we do a lot of good things, you know, and we're going to reevaluate everything again to make sure that, first of all, we're going to be well prepared training camp and make sure we got another good start, and we're all going to be healthy, and that's a big plus. But the way that we were playing and having such a puck possession, we were doing a lot of good things, but the result was not there.